Quit saying that. Doesn't look very quick.
That's what it is.
Hey, Morale. How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Guess we'll just go ahead and start.
No, that's mine.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Start out with roll call.
Commissioner Allen,
Present?
Commissioner Norwood,
Present.
Commissioner Siragusa,
Here.
Commissioner Roberts. Here. Commissioner Stallings,
Here.
Orr,
Here.
and Mayor Pankinen.
Here. All right, thank you. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda. Good. Okay, all looks good. Item 3, study items 3.1. Discuss proposed changes to the animal welfare ordinance to allow for a limited conditional waiver for keeping hens.
Hey, Mayor, I brought this up due to the fact of several calls I've gotten from some of my constituents in Ward 3 that wish to have hens for the purpose of having eggs, fresh eggs on their property. Based on the way that the current ordinance is written, we're not allowed to have hens on properties that are less than an acre that are R1. So I contacted our city attorney and discussed a change in the ordinance, a revision in the ordinance to allow up to 6 hens as pets per household. But there's got to be adequate space for upkeep and care of those hens. If the property's leased, they have to have permission from the owner of the property. Also for animal control to come out and verify before issuance of a waiver. The waiver can be pulled at any time, setting a cause due to the fact of, and those hens can be seized by the city without going through a bunch of court and everything else based on the waiver and what they sign.
Okay.
I said, I'm willing to entertain any questions that the other commissioners have.
I think that it's really well put together. If we're going to do something like this, and this is the baseline, and I appreciate that. My question is, how does animal welfare feel about this?
Well, they were the ones that initially, about a year and a half ago, they asked me to do this. And so they thought it was a good idea and thought that it would be fairer than people coming in and coming up with ADA accommodations for some people, which tends to be available for the people that know and the people that have been coached by attorneys and stuff. So they were the first ones that talked to me about it, but there was, and I believe that the previous Chief O'Rourke was for it, but we pulled it from our major revision last year.
So, and I appreciate that background on it, but my question, and I didn't phrase it properly, how do they feel about operating this plan?
Oh,
I
they
mean, do
like
they have
it.
the staffing? Are they going to be able to take the calls and go, yeah, we'll come out to your house and see if you can get,
Yes.
have your hens or not? So they're good with that part.
Yeah.
We're not forcing that part on them.
No, and the way that it is written and everything else, it's at animal control's leisure. People just can't turn around and say, I'm doing it, and then after the fact
Right.
call and say, now there may be some that, circumvent it. There's a lot of people that circumvent the fact now that they're not allowed in town,
Right.
and there's tons of them in town. But these are law-abiding citizens in my ward that came up to me that said, I would like to, based on, food prices and everything else. I've raised them in the past. I'd like to have my own personal hens. They got gardens. And I've heard a lot of different stories about deteriorating groundwater and everything else. 6 hens is not going to mess up your groundwater at your house. Not even if you're on and it's not gonna mess it up if you're on city water, because we provide water to most of the households here in town. 6 hens will actually eliminate a lot of your bugs. I know dogs in themselves, when they go out into their backyards and do their business and everything else, attract more flies. Hens will eliminate flies. They will eat everything that moves.
This is a low-tech thing. The thought is that the people, if they ask, how do we do it, we'll tell them to go to animal control and fill this out, and then animal control will go, and then it's going to be a paper system, and then they'll send it to the city clerk, and she'll put it in the hen file. I don't think there will be a lot of numbers, and they'll probably, use a pen. I doubt there's any reason for this to be, created and put on our website, because they've got to, I think the animal control guys will want to talk to the homeowners and that sort of thing. So it'll be a one-on-one deal. Probably low volume.
Okay, 6 hens, I don't think is going to put anybody in the egg selling business, but, so I just wanted to think about that out loud while we're talking about that, because it starts with, we just want to have some hens for our own eggs, and then it turns into, you know what, we don't eat all the eggs.
Well, that's why we eliminated and made a number
Yeah.
that an average household, 6 hens, 6 laying hens, will produce an average of 1 egg a day up to 350 days out of the year.
Okay, all right.
And if you have an average household of 4 people, 6 eggs a day is pretty good. And then if you have just 1 hen or 2 hens, those people that can
Okay.
take care of 1 or 2.
All right. Yeah, I just didn't want to get into okay, now it's going to be a business, now we got to charge sales tax, I just didn't want it to
Well,
get.
and I know that
Didn't
there
want it
are
to turn into
people
that.
Yeah.
that sell eggs that don't follow the rules, but you're supposed to you're supposed to know exactly, in
You know.
order to really sell eggs,
Yeah,
there are a lot of rules, even
Yep.
for like the hobby farmer. Now, I doubt that people follow them, but really, 6 hens, this is specifically for people that want the hens for company and would enjoy some eggs.
next you'll be telling me people speed when the police aren't looking, right?
And also, we hit
Thank you.
the hens only because roosters are very annoying.
Yeah,
And then we're starting to have issues with the sound
Right.
and the stuff.
okay,
And I do have several neighbors in my area that have roosters that they can hear a block away, but
yeah, okay.
I'm about to go searching for them to turn them into the police department at the moment. But
Okay. The ordinance looks good to me. If there's homeowners associations that don't allow it, that's a different issue altogether, correct?
Yes?
Okay,
The covenants can be pursued by the homeowners association or the neighbor involved.
okay,
That's
Alright.
something that the animal control will probably talk to the neighbors and say,
Okay.
you need to check your covenants.
okay, good. So all righty, thank you. All right, item 3.2, Call Lake Water Supply Program Financial Update.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Evening.
We're going to do a very high-level overview of the finances for the college program since the inception, so you know kind of where we're at on everything as far as money's coming in and out of the program and all the loans related to it. So we're going to start off with just a little history of the sales tax. Originally, it was passed in August of 2016, it was voted on. And so the FY17 budget there, you can see we didn't have any dollars budgeted at the time the budget was approved. We didn't know that was going to happen. And then in FY18, we only had the 3/4 of a cent. until May of 18, and then FY19 is the first full year. So you can see kind of the trend. We've exceeded what we budgeted every year. You can see that we budgeted very conservatively, especially in FY21 with COVID happening and us not knowing what's going on there. But if we just look at the trend, the increase from FY19 to 20 was a 3.27% increase, and then from 20 to 21 was a 1.67% increase, and from FY21 to 22 was a 1.51% increase. And then you can see what we budgeted so far for this year. It's still a little more aggressive than where we budgeted in the past, but it's still slightly lower than where we actually collected last year, just to make sure that we're not exceeding revenues that we can't meet. Then taking a look at where all that money has gone and where it is right now. So through the entire length of the sales tax, we've collected a little over $47.4 million. We've also earned an additional $500,000 in interest. Of all of that, $25.6 million has been paid out for loan payments so far on all 5 of the OWRB loans that we have. You can see the breakout there for what amount has gone to each of those loans. We also are holding in the account right now $22.3 million. Currently, there is $15 million of that invested in some laddered T-bills, and the remainder is to pay debt payments that we have due in September of this year, which is $6.2 million. And we'll continue to ladder as long as we have additional funds over and above what we need to make the debt payments that are semi-annually in September and March each year.
So I love pie charts, but what does FAP mean? I'll be the guy, I'll
It's
ask.
the Financial Assistance Program.
And the DW?
DWSRF is the state revolving fund, and there are different types of mechanisms through the state. FAP funding, we get all those dollars up front, we hold them in a bank account. The SRF program through ODEQ is a drawdown program, so they hold the money until we meet all the standards to draw down those funds.
So we
they're
get the
just handled
benefit
differently.
of the earning.
On the
Interest
FAP
on-
ones, which do have a little higher interest, the SRF has a lower interest rate on those loans, and DEQ earns interest on those funds that they hold, or OWRB, I guess, administered by ODEQ.
And the Water Resources Board has awarded all of these to us.
Yeah.
And without that loan, those 2 different loan programs, we would have had a much more difficult time of paying for the Call Lake program. But the drinking water SRF in particular is a subsidized rate, and our interest rate's pretty low on that. I don't remember what it is, but it's really, really good.
Yes, both of the SRF notes, one is at 2.99%, the very large loan, the last one closes at a 1.84%, and all of the FAP programs are between 3.8 and 4% on those loans.
So we're fortunate that we got those rates when we did instead of at today, because it would be phenomenal the amount that it
Absolutely.
would increase everything.
You are correct. So since all of the money has been spent, of course, to make loan payments, we're going to talk about the status of each of the loans that we have. The 2016 and the 2018, the FAP for 2016 and the SRF for 2018 are both fully drawn at this point. The 2018 FAP we're drawing against currently, and we have, sorry, I skipped one. We have $17.4 million left to draw down on that loan. The 2019 FAP has not been drawn down against at all yet. That will be the last loan that we draw down against. And then the 2020 SRF is tied to the Garney contract, and so far we've drawn down 51 million of that loan. Overall, we've drawn 120.9 million, and we have $215.3 million remaining to draw down on the program.
Okay.
This one, I know, apologizes a bunch of numbers, but just kind of gives you the breakdown so you can see of all those payments, those 25 million, what's gone to principal, interest, and loan origination fees. You'll see the 2016 FAP does not have any loan origination fees, and that's because we paid it out of the closing before we got our distributions, whereas the other ones, we paid it after we received our distribution. So that's why that one is a little bit different, but you can see we still have 326 million principal outstanding of the 334 that we took out. And then status of the budget. And this is as of June 30th, so this is not pending anything that may be considered or contemplated on the agenda tonight. But we have a total budget from all 4 phases of the program of $332.8 million. We've actually expended $116 million. And we have encumbrances or contracts awarded to companies of $212.7 million. And we have a remaining budget of $2 million that is left to be awarded. So as we contemplate some items tonight with a deduct change order and some Call Lake things, these numbers will change, and we'll bring that back to you with updated numbers so you can see the change in status of the budget. I believe we'll be these numbers of course change with every payment we make, but there may be a contemplation to make the overall budget bigger to accommodate some agreements that are on the agenda tonight. Is there any questions I can answer for you regarding finances and where we are? You have some more spreadsheets that have more detail if you want to look at those, but more just for your reference than for us to go over individually tonight.
Aaron, I have a question on the interest rates of the loan. Since we've had an increase from last year to this year, is the interest rate still the same?
Yeah, they're locked in at the time that we closed on the interest rates for the loan.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
To kind of summarize the budget in terms of what you project we're going to spend in the future, and I'm not trying to nail you down, but it seems that we're still in our ballpark.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's the few little anticipated things that are still out there that we're working through, but they get smaller each and every day, those unknowns.
The detail that is on the agenda tonight, I believe, is the same detail that we provide every time to the Call Lake Oversight Committee.
It is.
Commissioner Stallings is on. So I wanted to make sure that all of you get a chance to see this. I think you've seen Aaron's complete spreadsheet at least once or twice, but we're going to start bringing this. You always see the engineering updates and those things even before the Call Lake Oversight Committee does. But we wanted to make sure that information was out there for you because I think it also shows, well, what she's already shown on the charts, but in more detail about all the sales tax that's been received, all the payments that have been made. A lot more detail, so you'll have to have some glasses or something unless you've got really good eyes. But we plan to do that every other month, just in conjunction with our Call Lake Oversight Committee. Because I also recognize sometimes our Call Lake Oversight Committee has been unable to meet because of quorum issues. And so I want to make sure that whether they meet or not, the commission's seeing this, which means the public sees it and is available. And I think it's still a difficult, it is a difficult project, a very complex project, but it's something that we'll all take pride in accomplishing down the road. And when everybody's forgot about all of us, they'll just know we have plenty of water because of the decisions made by you guys and previous commissioners. So anyway, there's a lot of detail in there. So if you ever have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. You can ask Aaron. You can ask, well, Aaron's probably the best person to ask. So.
Be glad to answer anything I can about it.
Okay. I don't have anything. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Good update. Item 3.3, update on current street repairs. Raleigh.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. Providing you current street projects under construction and future projects, what's going on. There are 3 projects that are under construction currently. Rosanna Street, which is recently completed. East Maple, it's under construction. And Chestnut, it's under construction. There are a few upcoming projects. You can see the location of this street. And this street was completely damaged with a bad winter weather and it's been completely reconstructed. Currently the street is in pretty good shape. One good thing about this street is the curb and gutter was intact. We didn't have to replace any of the curb and gutter, so we just need to replace the existing asphalt street. East 10th Street, East Maple Street between 10th and 16th Street. Currently, the construction is like 3 blocks is completed. They are currently working on 4th block. 8-inch water line has been completed. Storm sewer is complete between 12th and 16th. Roadway is still progressing. The project is estimated to complete by end of this year. They are well before that, but their construction time is December 2022.
I know it's not a city thing, but I do know for a fact that they're in between of 13th and 16th is almost like 100% completed at the moment. That there's 2 houses in that neighborhood that have put new windows in and also painted their houses after the fact that the street was done. So us doing this construction in that neighborhood actually is inviting homeowners to bring up what they have. So it has a little bit of effect just outside of just the street and what you guys are doing and everything else. It's actually affecting the neighborhood for the better.
That's good, yep. Good.
The next is 10th Street. We know there is a big 30-inch storm sewer in the middle of the street, and this storm sewer is built in 1901. And the storm sewer is a brick tile, so it's not even a tile pipe, it's a bricks. So they put together, they did a wonderful job, but it has a lifespan. So a couple years ago, that's been collapsed. So we have seen some deterioration of that pipe. So we keep extending that project, extending project up to the 10th Street. Part of that, we are relocating the water line and also storm sewer. Currently, the project is underway. The contractor is relocating the water line and storm sewer. This project is like 3 different contractors are working on this project to expedite the project. You can see some of the pictures from earlier. These are a tile pipe. So this portion of the project has been completed previously, and the portion right here and here, there were intentionally left the bumps because the elevation of that did not match to the current asphalt street. So the new street, when we build it, we'll build back to the original concrete street. So you won't see a bump there anymore once we complete this extension of it. So these are upcoming projects. There are 2 projects under design in this year. These are on big 2 projects. Birch and Elm Street are bid out, and they will be in construction this summer. The 2 contractors, we are doing a pre-construction work currently, and they will be in construction in a month or so. And the FY23 projects, we got 4 projects, and these are all design-only projects, except the 5th Street. The other ones it's going to be design projects.
Morale, is that 10 blocks for the pre-construction on Ann?
Yes, sir.
Wow,
Elm Street.
that's a lot.
Elm Street's a pretty bad street. It also goes in front of
Emerson School.
Emerson,
Yep.
yeah.
Elementary.
Yeah. It's very busy too.
Yep.
And one question on that, when you're doing all of that, are you having to redo all the approaches?
Yes, sir. It's a
throughout all of
complete
them?
reconstruction.
And
That's a
on,
lot of work.
on the Elm one too, that was one that they replaced the piping 2 years ago, I think,
The water line.
the water line.
They are finishing right now.
finishing right now, but they started
Yeah.
about 2 years ago on getting that all going
Yeah, about a year, yeah.
with that pipeline, which has helped Kenwood District with their water
Fire
pressure.
flows, yes, sir.
So that's completion of that job with getting them started on the paving.
Paid, yeah.
Well, as Marley tells you about these projects, we're doing it to obviously keep you informed, and obviously the public gets informed that way too, because I'm thinking there'll be a nice newspaper article about all the work the city's doing tomorrow in the newspaper. And so, but what he's talking about is the engineering, the bid out, the competitive bid projects. And so I do know we don't have it on there really to talk about tonight with pictures and stuff, but if you're out and about, up on Washington and Hackberry, there's 3 blocks of asphalt that our street crew is overlaying right now. Now, on that project, we just grind off 2 or 3 inches and lay down asphalt. It does have concrete curbs and gutters, so we're not getting into curbs and gutters and driveways and approaches. And that program is very economical for us, and we're trying to do everything we can to keep that program going and expand that program. You'll remember that you guys approved a new asphalt machine, but because of all the lead times and construction, I have no idea. I believe the last I was told it wasn't going to be manufactured till October, and it means we'll probably get it sometime early next year. But that machine will give us the capability to do even more of that program, which is very cost effective. And I know we need it all over town. And that particular program, I believe there's a couple blocks of ash to the south, about 6 blocks to the south we're going to work. And then we're moving over to Country Club West, I think it is, Monitor Street. I know that's a pretty bad street over there that's asphalt that has concrete curbs. And I think while we're over there, I know I'm going to want them to take a look at Wildwood. So we're going to be moving around the city. And so while we are going to knock out as many streets as we can in one area, we're going to try to keep moving, because if we stay in one area very long, we'll be there a really long time. So what we're trying to do is the same thing we've done with the concrete repair program, that we fix a few things, move around, fix a few things, move around, keep moving around. Fix as many things as we can, because that's one of our, really, I think it's our basic core function, public safety and fixing infrastructure. So this is great, but you got more to tell us about too, right?
Yep, that's about it.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to update us on a few other things? Because I didn't see, where are we at on Grand and Gary? And I know the pedestrian walkways, maybe you covered that.
Yeah, we have currently we are on hold for, there are a couple utility companies, they need to relocate their utilities before we start breaking the ground on that one, sir.
Is AT&T one of them?
Dobson is one of them.
Oh, okay. I saw Sandra today, and I couldn't remember which one.
Yeah, Dobson.
Sandra Robinette from AT&T, so, okay. Is there any other projects that you'd like to hear a quick update on? We may not have slides, but.
What about the trail project?
Oh,
Man,
Well,
it's
tell 'em.
going so fast over there behind Meadow Lake. It's gorgeous, and it bends, and it goes along with the trees and the topography are back there. It's really looking good. So I don't know if they're completely finished. I haven't played golf. I've been out of town, so I haven't gone because of the heat, but I'll get out there tomorrow. Is it to Richland yet?
Almost.
It can't be very far.
Right, yeah.
But it goes across, at that court where the channel is, and then it runs across south of Meadow Lake and then joins up behind that whole line that goes behind the horseshoe pit. So if you draw that all the way to Van Buren, so it comes to the end of, 16 T-box, and then just goes all the way out to Richland.
14 T-box.
14, yeah. Mayor would know.
So at this point, the project terminates at Richland
Yes,
for
sir.
this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
we do have good news on that. Marley, you want to tell them about what you and Stephen have been working on with ODOT?
ODOT is opening funding for trails again. So one of the first thing they said, if you have a shovel-ready projects, we will fund that one. And previously there was a cap for 600,000. Now they are up to, they didn't say what it is. It's more than 600,000. So since this is a shovel-ready project, we can
Go from Richland to
all the way to Vance Air Force Base. So the estimate is for that almost $1.1 million.
To go all the way to Vance?
Vance.
All right.
So it's almost, is that almost like a grant to the city or?
Good, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it'd be,
That's
I
excellent.
believe it's an 80/20 grant, right?
Yep, 80/20 grant.
Well,
That's great.
we all should smile because, you know, we've been taking it for years and
We also.
things are happening.
We also are looking at that program too, because I know I've had requests over time from citizens and commissioners. And I remember Commissioner Ward, you had talked about, you've got some constituents up around Prairie View talking about a sidewalk. Well, this is a great opportunity. I think we're going to, it's not shovel-ready
Yep.
yet, but I think they help with design costs
Design too, yes.
So we're going to look to try and, we do have in the current budget some money for design anyway, but we need to work on a sidewalk, probably to get from, that'd be Oakwood, Willow, over to the existing sidewalk that we already built that connects to the school.
Yep.
Right.
So, and that's also, I think, part of the master plan, isn't it? I think it is. Just nod, say, yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, so what we're saying is that we are trying to aggressively go after monies to do more infrastructure.
Yeah.
We do have, Stephen Puckett, I think, is doing a very good job. He's not here tonight, but he's very busy and going to continue to stay busy.
Gerald, is that the gentleman that got us money for the wood ring? Did he?
Yes, he
find some money
definitely
there for
helped
us?
with that. There was a lot of folks, Lisa Powell was involved in that, and Keston. But yes, he is actually working that now as far as paperwork, and we're expecting to get an award letter on that very soon. And I believe that was $4.25 million for 3 different projects at Woodring.
Right.
And he'll be doing the DSIP submittal here in the next couple weeks, 10 days. Turning that in.
That's big money.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Morale, appreciate it. All right, item 3.4, discuss amending the sign ordinance to allow portable EMC signs for special events.
Well, let me go ahead and just open that up, because really I asked for this, and really, I'll say the 2 gentlemen that helped enlighten me are in the audience, so you might want to hear from them. I would say which radio station you're from, except that I would probably get it wrong, so I'll let you guys say that. But I guess there's a picture of it, so thanks. This technically, really, with our current sign ordinance, is not really allowed, and so I think that it should be. So we've tried to, I've asked staff and Carol to try and come up with something that would allow it, that's reasonable, and so that's what we put together tonight. So really, what we're here is to talk to you about it tonight. I think we can pull up an ordinance, maybe if it's in the folder. I know Carol's done one already, and she could talk about it, but I think it's reasonable, and you might want to hear from these guys about, I mean, I appreciate it. We've had to, they help out with, well, obviously they make money with their signs in the radio station, but they also do philanthropic things. And one of the things they had tried to do that brought this to my attention is work with United Way in Meadow Lake Park on, I can't remember what that was, but it was some
Superhero.
nice, yeah, it's a superhero event, and there was a problem with the sign. We had a complaint, and so we felt like we had to address it, and they dutifully took it down, but we think that we need, I think that we need to allow it. So, Carol, I don't know if you want to talk about the ordinance, or if you guys want to come up and talk about, that's a picture of your sign, I think, that was there.
We're probably better off to answer questions in the
Okay,
meeting.
sounds great.
I mean, more than
Sounds
happy
great.
to.
Oh, well, there's the ordinance anyway, so,
But I will say, like I said that one day, we've had the sign in town over a year, we've used it a lot in town. There's been 0 issues, and we've charged $0 in the last year to use, so.
what we want to treat it as is a mobile temporary EMC, electronic messaging, whatever C stands for.
Special event portable
Yes.
EMC sign.
Thank you, Carol.
Under temporary,
Thank you.
it would, the display space would be, the maximum would be 50 square feet for the display space, which is the size of their portable EMC. You could utilize it, even if you had maxed out on your commercial sign space for 14 days. So if someone has used all their sign at their, I don't know, Jiffy Trip, but want to advertise a special event for 14 days, they could go in, get a permit, get the little EMC, and do it. And let's see, I think that's it. You have to obey all the rules about sign triangles and all that to make sure that it's safe. And it's designed predominantly for the residents to use it in commercial space to advertise special stuff.
Okay, are we having it in there also that it's not to businesses to attack each other? Like, I'm gonna go put my sign out in front of your business for 14 days,
Oh,
upping up my
well,
business.
I
mean, that's what I want to make sure that we don't have happen. I like the idea for the special events. I love your guys' signs. I've seen them up. Fantastic job that you guys do with them.
I would assume that they would ask what the special event was, and it would not, we have to be careful about regulating speech, but the idea is for an event, not to advertise a product necessarily, but like, I suppose if someone was going to have a grand opening and have ice cream cones and icicles for children, it's that kind of thing, or to something like that, or if they're having face painting at a car dealership, that's the kind of thing we're talking about.
Okay.
But if it's ice cream for children and it's parked in front of Brahms, would Brahms not have a problem with that?
Well, if it's parked in front of Brahms have their own.
I know.
It has to be, the business has to ask for it.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be parked, I suppose, next to Brahms,
Okay.
but it wouldn't be in the Brahms parking lot unless it was a Brahms special event ice cream, because, or unless the person who owns the Brahms parking lot is odd. You couldn't just park it.
Okay. Our
Yeah.
concern is the same.
Our concern, that's
Yes.
basically my concern was say Atwoods wants to do something special. They're not going to turn around and be able to turn around and put it in front of Tractor Supply Company and say, come over to us, we're having a special,
No.
that sort of deal.
No, they would have it in their own parking lot, and that
Okay.
would be specifically
Okay.
listed
That's
in
what-
the permit.
That's what I want to make sure of.
issues. Yeah.
I don't see the difference in it. If you were going to use this as just to special events like you show in your presentations here, act of kindness and,
Yeah.
that's one thing. But if I have, and I'm just going to say it out loud, dispensary, and I want to put a portable sign out there because I got a big sale this week and I can do that every week, then I see Enid turning into those old yellow flashing sign with an arrow on every other corner, and we had to get rid of all that stuff because people were abusing it.
But it's limited to 14 days.
I'm sorry?
It's limited to the 14 days.
Okay, so 14 days, and then you start a new 14-day period of time, and now we're going to do
For a
something else. I
different,
mean,
for a different special event.
Right.
And it's for, that's why we're studying it, and it's not on for passage.
Yeah, and we may
We've
need
got a
to
new,
we might need to modify it.
yeah.
If there's a way we can modify that, because we don't want that either. Anybody can potentially, if this is passed, go out and buy a 50 square foot EMC, but what's the investment they would have to make?
About $85,000.
Yeah.
So they'd have to make about $85,000 investment, and then we're treating it as a special event. So if we need more language about what a special event is to make sure that you can't just go out there and then every 14 days do it again, that's been some concerns we've had too, so.
so you own the sign, and you want to use it for other purposes than just teeth extractions or something like that. You want to be able to rent it to a ABC distributing, and they can have it for 14 days. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, or special, typically, I've done businesses like this in the past. This is the first time I've bought a portable one. But typically we'll do.
Do you mind coming on up to the, just because people on TV land are probably watching too, or not TV land, internet land?
Yeah, internet land. So
Would you
typically,
introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry.
Kevin Waltman, General Manager of Chisholm Trail Broadcasting here with the 5 radio stations and the digital signs. So we do a lot of marketing for dispensaries and for jumbos or whomever to get, build their businesses. The idea behind the sign, what we've done in the past year, we've done it at a barbecue place in Lahoma. It sat there for like 45 days just marketing his stuff to try to get the local business more business. Didn't charge him a dime. However, about every time it flipped over, about every third time it had our logo on it. So did I get something out of it? Yes. And that's kind of the point of it. Would I like to make money with it? Yeah, I've got $85,000 investment in it. So, but the idea is to rent it for, I think we originally talked, it didn't have to be 14 days. It could be 7 days. No problem, because that's a typical rental time for it. So, but it might go to, I'll just pick jumbos, for example. They might have a big meat sale that they want to market, that they do on the radio and newspaper and put out in front of their store. So I don't know, is that considered a special event? I'm not sure. That is up to you guys. But that's kind of the idea behind it. We've done a lot of stuff with the ballpark. We've done a lot of stuff with United Way. We've done a lot of stuff with a lot of the nonprofits here. That's been 90% of the usage.
We've been down this road. Gary Martin be turning over, and if he knew what was going on. We fought this really hard in the 80s, and we had those little boat trailer signs everywhere, and it was awful. And it was like pulling teeth to get rid of them. So I understand where you are, and your signs look a whole lot better than that, but who's going to be the police?
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, the code department would be Scott Garand and his department out there.
That's tough, though. I mean, that's just
it's-
adding
they're
another
overwhelmed.
layer of duty for these guys. I'm in the middle on this. I'm not convinced this is a good deal.
As it was proposed, as I looked at everything and read the documents, I thought it was for you to take out somewhere and say, we're doing a special event. We're going to give free COVID shots at this location.
That would be one of the things.
That's fine. That's something completely different than what's written here, which means you can sell or rent it to Jumbo or ABC, company. That would mean that you have to determine who you would do that for. And so there's probably rules that would maybe break there. I'm not going to do it for these kind of businesses. I'm not going to do that for funeral homes, but I'm going to do that for minor emergency clinics. It's just, it's putting our faith and trust in your company to make those decisions as to who you're going to rent that to and for what period of time. We're talking 14 days. That's a long time, maybe.
Well, and 14 days is something that, it was originally going to be 7, and it could go back to being 7 or whatever it needs to be. And if this is something that you, in the end, don't desire to do, that's fine with me too. But this is part of the challenge that we have with our code, is when and I'm sensitive to, I've been asked to be user-friendly, business-friendly, and so that's what I thought I was trying to be here. But I completely understand. I don't remember the days of these type signs everywhere, and so in my mind, whatever we do, if you do anything, we're not doing it just for you. We're doing it for anybody that would have this on or rent it from you.
Right.
Unless if we can figure out a way to write it that would be acceptable, I think.
I would like to say one thing to Mr. Allen. You're right, it would be kind of up to our business, but the business is in good standing with over 50 years in the city, so there's been 0 issues with the decision that we've made at any point. So I just think that should stand for something.
I thought the way it's written, the person who's having the special event, yes, they'd call him, can I use the sign? And then they would go to the code department and talk about what this special event was. So it would actually be the person, like it would be United Way that would go and say, hey, I want to have this portable EMC sign for this special event, and they would fill out the deal.
And the code department has to be the bad guy and be the ones who determine who gets to have the sign and who doesn't?
Well, could there be like a cooling off period, like only 1 permit issued per month per business?
Well, I think we need to bring
Yeah.
it back.
I
We need
think
to
we need to study it
decide,
some more, it
for
sounds
one
like,
thing,
yes.
we threw this together, and we've got a new code official, and he can kind of decide, but I don't think, the idea was that it was not, I mean, one of the reasons why we thought about it was so expensive that it wasn't going to be like the 1980s, someone putting a little wooden sign up and, you know, at $80,000 a pop, EMCs they're fragile, you know, you gotta treat them right. But I don't care.
Well, I really see this as kind of a middle ground between the big billboards in town that we were trying to minimize the number of and the electronic signs that are out there now. It really is just a middle ground. It's a mobile sign that can be changed all the time. So we kind of limited the number of signs. We said if you take down you can't put up a new electronic sign unless you take down an old board sign. And this looks like it's somewhere sliding in between those.
And we're in the process of doing that to 2 of our own billboards that we own, so,
Okay,
to update them.
yeah.
You're right, Mayor. If you look around town, we basically have EMCs in a lot of places now.
Yeah.
We allow them in a stationary place of a certain size, and I don't recall what the size is. It might be up above. So it's even bigger than this. So, again, I will say that this is an effort that I was working on. So, from my perspective, it wasn't just thrown together. It was, we talked to you, Sir Kevin, several months ago. We've just been very, very busy with a lot of projects.
Understandable.
Yeah.
But hey, we can study this, and if it's not something that we think is going to work, that's fine. It's actually instructive, too, because what I might think is being business-friendly, you guys might think is cluttering the town. And so it's instructive, too, because that's a challenge that we have in code every day with whether it's building permits or what have you. And so really, I like the Goldilocks method of regulation. Not too much, and not too little. And to me, I'm thinking this is reasonable to me, but we need to figure out the rules. But again, you guys are the ones that would approve it if we ever get to that point.
Well, there's nothing to keep somebody else from spending $65,000 on a sign that's not as nice as the 85 and then going out and renting it to anybody that they want to.
Right.
And so that's the sticky wicket in this whole process.
See,
That's
that's-
why we have a study session. We want you to be successful. We didn't ask you to spend $85,000
No, you did
on a
not.
sign. But we want you to be successful. You're great community partners. And if we can find some middle ground, then I am all for that. But I'm not for just letting other people come into town and go, well, my sign's electronic. Well, it doesn't look like their sign, but it's electronic. You know, where do we draw the line? And so we do need to study this. We do need to
absolutely.
go real deep into it, or we're going to get ourselves set up.
Understandable. One of the ideas we kind of tossed around that one day too was doing a yearly permit for these signs, so you could limit the number that's in town, whether it be me or 2 other people or whatever the case might be. So there's only so many of them, so there's not 400 arrow signs pointing to the garage sale. And the ironic part, and I'll say this, is my boss, Mr. Champlin, is the one that was involved in that back in the 80s to help get rid of all those arrow signs and stuff. So we've already had that long discussion.
Also, I think we really need to specify what special event definition is. A sale is not a special event in my book. A sale is a sale. You know, if you're raising money for nonprofits, going out to a park, doing your hero thing, that's a special event. And that was a special event to help special people. And I know of several of them that were there that had a great time. I happened to have missed it because I was helping other special kids doing therapeutic riding with them on that day. So I understand that day was part of what caused a lot of this to come up to the head. But that was a special event. And I personally had no problem with you guys advertising for that special event to draw people.
Well, and again, as a local
benefit
business, that we're here to make money off the business at some point, my question would be, what would be the difference of a grand opening? Let's say Jumbo's built a 4-store and they want to do a grand opening event. We brought the sign out, grand opening tomorrow at noon, versus Jumbo's having a meat sale.
You only have one grand opening. I can have a sale every day of the week on something different in my store. That doesn't make it a special event.
Fair enough,
It's a-
for 14
it's a
days or
sale.
7 days.
My concern is every dispensary in town that's making money is going to have one of those signs sitting out front of it, and that is not what we want.
No.
And I don't
That's
know,
why I said
I don't know how
special event
you,
needs to-
how you control that. Can we limit who's going to do it legally?
A sale is not a special
It's good for the
event.
goose, but not the gander?
Okay, well, first,
Yeah.
we have to have the sign people, our guys or ladies have to decide that it's a safe spot. So it's got to be site-specific, because you don't want them to just stick it someplace in a parking lot. And we have to be careful about, I suppose we could limit it to special charitable events, but we can't, if it's going to be for commercial businesses, we can't say it can be for these commercial businesses, but it can't be for those. So it is very, that's why it was really short. Because we can't really say, it can't be for garage sales and dispensaries, but it can be for
Half-off clothes.
half-off clothes or Jumbo's new,
Or maybe we could get back to, what started this for me was when United Way tried they wanted to use it for the superhero thing, and before you even got it turned on, we had somebody calling us complaining about it.
And
And
an
sure enough,
anonymous
it doesn't
person,
meet
I know exactly who
the
it is.
code, so we had to deal with it. And so that's all I was, and so you're right, there's a lot of unintended consequences. So we're going to go take this back, and Carol, we're going to spend a lot of time on it, because we're going to try to, I still think it's important. If we can get it right, we'll try to bring it back, we'll bring it back to you. But in the end, if we can't get it right, then that's okay too, because it's a good, this is how the sausage is made and how it should be
Absolutely,
made.
yeah,
We're-
and I'm
we're
here to
talking
work
about an
with whomever
ordinance
on
change.
whatever to make it happen. But I will go back to, I understand the special events thing, but we are a business as well, so we'd like the opportunity to make some money at some point, to recoup some of our investment. Part of it for us is just to get our logos out from the radio stations, so when we do the United Way, as you saw in the one, the Be Kind today, we had our K&ID logo on there as well. So it's branding for us as well. But again, 85,000 is not, well, now they're 120 just because of all the changes, just so, not that it matters, but.
If we could figure out how to make this just for special events like the superhero things, or like College World Series downtown, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's kind of maybe, I don't know
But
if
it's
that's
hard for
palatable.
them to make money when they can't
It's all-
charge for it.
it's all
So that's their
nonprofit.
request. They need to be able to, they're trying to recoup their money, and that's fair. It's just that we're in an awkward spot.
Yeah.
We are, and I understand the awkward
And we
spot.
have to be the deciders, and that's why we'll just keep continuing working on it, and
it may be we could divide it in two. So for instance, we could allow for a portable EMC sign as a temporary sign in commercial situations where they have not used up all their sign space. So some businesses with very large parking lots and very large businesses, probably Jumbo's is one of them, has not used all of their commercial assigned commercial space. So for an event, they could, and temporary signs have a temporary time period. So they could temporarily use one of these and pay for it if they have enough space for it, if they've got an extra 50 square feet. And then we could carve out the special events and say special events that are charitable or public or something like that, that are not commercial, they could have it, and it could be in addition to the commercial sign allocation, because of, just like the banners downtown and the little feather signs, I mean, we've got all sorts of special event signs that are in addition to the signs for businesses, you know, that Main Street does. And then we've got the flags that I think the Rotary Club does, that are, that we do not count up and say, okay, that, because it's on that bridge, that, you know, okay. So we could maybe do it, but this isn't, this is
You're
probably.
still not keeping in mind that Joe Bob can
Yes.
go out and buy one of these signs that's not as nice as this Chisholm Trail Broadcasting sign, who are great community partners.
Thank you.
Okay,
And use it for nefarious, you know, not nefarious, but advertise for people who we might not want. Yeah, it just lots of holes.
but only if there's, his location has extra commercial.
You know, and that gets into really going out and measuring everything. That's just silly. I mean, we're complicating it from there.
And besides that, they probably are using advertising like on the signs at Jiffy Trip. So how do you count that?
Exactly.
Every 2 minutes, a thing comes by and it's 75 square feet.
Those are billboards.
Well, I know. But
And those don't.
it's not up all the time.
And if it's a billboard, then you can, we already have that.
And they can sell the space to whoever they want.
Exactly. But this would not be that.
No, these would be specific for the area. You guys have mentioned flashing. This is still going to have to follow the EMC ordinance. So the regulations of that will have to stay the same. So it'll be static for 6 seconds, I believe, correct? Is it 8 seconds? Okay. So it'll be static, and so it won't be flashing. It can't be flashing. One of the other things is that it will have to also follow the temporary sign ordinance. So the nice thing about that is that it can't be in the right of way. It can't be anywhere. It can't be off site. It's got to be on site and site specific. Apologize, tripping over my words. One of the things that you were discussing was marijuana shops having access to them 14 days, rest period 14 days. So if we had some caveat in there, maybe 14 a year, 14 a quarter, something that might help. But one of the other things, these commercial businesses, they have the ability to put out a temporary sign, a banner sign that flaps in the wind for 90 days, that gets tore out. Personally, I kind of like these EMCs. They stay aesthetically more pleasing. So it might be a good way to step into what may be the future of these temporary signs, as opposed to these banners. I don't know. I just kind of trying to.
The banners, the feathers.
Right.
Yeah.
These things
We're just
that are.
trying to deal with today. I'm not worried about the future.
I agree, but this is presented, and, you know, I see, you know, when it was first brought to me, I had a lot of heartburn, thought about it, but I thought about it, and I'm kind of see that it's a beautification of it. Instead of having a banner sign that's been sitting there for 60 days, torn up by the Oklahoma wind, where code enforcement has to go out and say, you guys got to move it or fix it, you have this sign that's sitting there and it's staying aesthetically pleasing, if you will. One of the other concerns you mentioned, I lost my train of thought. I apologize. But the way I read it is that you know, you've got this sign up there. It's got to be application brought to my department. We look over it and we say, okay, it's not in the right of way. Okay, it's not blocking any signs. You know, because you can't, like you said, you can't be 50 feet from a sign according to the sign ordinance. So they've got to be far enough away to where they're not blocking neighbor signs and such. So.
Well, you guys have given us outstanding feedback, so I do appreciate that, because what we will try to do is try to work on this some more and shape it, bring it back to a future study session when we can put some more thought into it, hearing your concerns. and then we'll see if we can find something that's acceptable or not. And then you guys eventually you'll get to make a decision on that.
Sir.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have one more?
Yep.
Is it Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Results. The businesses that have used your signs, have they come back and told you, hey, we've had an increase in sales or business or whatever? What type of effects have you had?
Increased foot traffic, increased sales. It's actually in, by Tulsa right now for a tractor dealer, that same exact sign, so. And since it's been there, and he's an established dealer, but since he's been there, he's increased 20% of his business.
Okay, so that will increase our sales tax revenue.
Correct.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
all I wanted.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all.
Good point. Thank you.
That's an excellent point.
All right, yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
All right. That's all I have. We're at item 4, which is adjourn.
You can go ahead and adjourn. It's
No.
just, it's an announcement.
Go ahead.
Make sure you have on your calendars, if you don't already, if you can make it. I believe it's July 28th.
29th.
Is it the 29th now? I think it's the 28th. We're going to have the Leona Mitchell ribbon cutting. Because one of the things that, you heard the presentation of Projects Now. I want to work with you guys to do and staff to make sure that we celebrate some of our successes. We haven't done as much of that, but right now we're planning 9 o'clock on the 28th. Right now, I think it'll just be on the site, but I think we'll have more details next week for you.
I'm trying to find a location.
I was gonna
to
say,
be
if you
inside.
get Judy to put it onto our account, send us an
Ah,
email.
yes,
Put it onto our
yes.
calendars.
We'll do that. And then I know, Mayor, you'll probably have a speaking role, and Commissioner Norwood, you'll probably have a speaking role. So
Okay.
we'll send you a formal invite soon on that, and we'll put it on your calendars.
Good. Thank you. All right, we stand adjourned. We will meet at 6:30 in Chambers.